savage now in a savage land and can't take it. Whitewash the depictions, picket fence the issue. Ain't no reparations coming for you, niggas. Kings, I mean, no lands, no deeds. Platform, I paying for your greed. Remember, we not members on your team. Bend knees with Nikes on our feet. Run, 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 run. Karen, check my profile. Then the blues pouring all down my timeline on live now. No comply to alibi, get gunned down, no flight time. Vigilantes kill Emmett Till and Trayvon at the same time. Vigilantes kill Trayvon and Ahmaud at the same time. Same story, just a reset. Same story, just a repeat. White land under these feet. Run, 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 run. They just catching Toby out his place. OTL, that's black code, boy, that's Jim Crow, know the language. Blackface keep you in a seat of power and a casket. DA never charging, but they charging for them hammers. Threatened by the image that they imprinted on every single channel. Look at here, it's even CNN with Fox's front of cameras. Got you back there feeling comfortable in pity and in panic. Want you giving up protection while they trick you into capture. Name another innocent killed every single second. Name another innocent killed every single second. Say the name. Another innocent killed every single second. Say the name. Another innocent killed every single second. Say the name.
Yo. Appreciate y'all. Back again for the second time. Told y'all I was gonna do another one, and I'm back. Appreciate anybody and everybody who is watching right now. Everybody playing peekaboo. You here, then you not. Shout out to y'all too. So we got a story coming in, and this is a local story. Coming in from here in Richmond, Virginia. Well, my hometown, Richmond, Virginia. Coming from my hometown in Richmond, Virginia, because I don't live in Richmond right now. But my family does. So this is very important. Born and raised in Richmond. All over Richmond. So many Richmond issues do affect me, as my son also still lives in Richmond, Virginia. So a lot of these issues actually affect him very personally. So what we have here is a video of today's live stream coming from Mayor Stoney, where he's trying to score brownie points from the black community, or the actual community of Richmond, which he's been pandering for a long time to the black community. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm just tired of people pandering to the black community and not really coming out with any kind of policies that actually help us in the long run. I'm just kind of tired of it all. I've been watching this stuff, and it's just been infuriating. Can't even get my words out right now. It's a lot, man, to have to sit here and listen to these people do the same little runaround and spill that they've been doing for the last couple of decades. I know when I was a kid, they would do these same little spills, and it never gets better. It just never gets better. So I'm going to switch over so y'all can see what I'm talking about. This is the news of the state and local leaders who came to address the unrest in Richmond. Man, this was a dumpster fire, if you even want to call it that. I was commenting on the actual live stream, throughout the live stream, and not to really get anybody's particular attention, but to just bring up a couple of points, because if you have a voice, you have to use it. So that's what we're doing. And the entire time, nobody mentioned anything about policies. This whole thing, they just kept on touting about the black issues, but then they continue to tout about a call to action. Now, a lot of people know that I'm very into politics. And when we're talking about politics, words actually matter. They are literally telling you that they're calling the they're making a call to action. And it's funny because they do this all the time. It's a classic bait and switch. They're calling to action everyone to reiterate the policies that they have and create um, new training mechanisms. Isn't this exactly what they did when it came to the protests about Freddie Gray, Trayvon Martin? Uh, we've had protests like this in Richmond. Now, we didn't have the rioting like this, but we did have the protests, especially during the Trayvon Martin case. And then they came out and told us the same exact thing. They got the old guard sitting here, along with the elite of Richmond, sitting here giving us more sugar cubes, more candy. And they don't understand. They're so oblivious as to what the kids are actually asking for, what the black community is actually asking for. They're so oblivious to it because they're so disconnected from the people that they don't even realize that they're doing the exact opposite. Mayor Stoney not once did he apologize. Not once did he apologize to the protesters. The protesters. I'm not talking about the looters. I'm talking about the protesters. Not once did he even mention the protesters. Not once did anybody from the protests stand up there and speak and talk about the actual issues. They wanted to have us singing slave hymns and talking about progress that we're just calling to action for. This is the reparations argument all over again. When they went up to the Senate just to appease the blacks with all of the black faces, and we're going to just talk about reparations. And then we're going to make a bill to calculate how much the reparations is. Well, it wasn't even to calculate. It was to research the reparations. It's a classic bait and switch. Classic bait and switch. Where they divert your attention. And this is something that we learned from the Obama era. They divert your attention and then call you to talk about gaining hope for the future. Why do they keep doing this? As if they're not pouring more gasoline on the fire. Mayor Stoney sat up here, and instead of walking and marching with the people, instead of joining the protest, instead of showing his face to the people, his constituency in person, instead of having the police chief march with the people every single night, not just one night, every single night, that's too much to ask. So what does he do to the protesters? Not the looters, the protesters. He still gasses them. He calls for the National Guard in a freaking curfew. These may be young adults, but they're not kids. Their political identities are very much developed. They understand things a lot better than people think. But you sick the police, not just one police force, because there were reports that Chesterfield police officers were also called for the Richmond situation. So you mean to tell me you want to stop this issue, but you can't even take the time out of your busy life to come out and march with the people? In almost every single protest around the country that has been peaceful, including those in Petersburg and the Colonial Heights, guess what? The government was with the people, especially in Norfolk. The government was with the people, not acting as a occupying force, not acting like the daggone school security. They were there marching with the protesters. In almost every single peaceful protest that I've seen, any time that you've seen, to include in Richmond, because one of the most beautiful things that I seen last night was when the police officers put their hands up in front of the protesters, and the protesters applauded it. That simple gesture, they applauded it. And then when somebody decided, which was probably somebody from Antifa, which if anybody was watching the lives, they know that they were spotting the guys who were there to cause trouble. When they threw a bottle at the police officers didn't even jump. But guess what the protesters did? They said, no, that's wrong. That's what the protesters did. When they were kicking in the windows at SunTrust, the protesters were the ones who were telling them to stop. But you treated these people as if they were an occupying force, and they are your constituency. You made the wrong move when you decided to tear gas the protesters and treat them as if they were doing something wrong. I'm not talking about the looters. They disobeyed your curfew because they don't respect you. Now you got up here, face full of fake tears, and wanted to cry, I'm a black man, and surround yourself with the old people singing Kumbaya. That was the wrong message, because you gave the voice to the actual elites and the old guard of Richmond, and didn't even have the common courtesy to give the voice to the people who are actually going through this situation. We can't be all in it together, Mayor Stoney. If you, as the mayor of Richmond, won't even give the people the common courtesy to meet with them in the street, to march and walk with them in solidarity. But you, Mayor Stoney, want to be on top of them and tell them how to protest and tell them where to go and tell them how long they can be in the street. And that is part of the problem, because you are not listening. Mayor Stoney. I am tired. I've been tired since before now. I have had to deal with racism in this country as an American soldier many times. Before I left to go to Iraq and when I came back, I have many war stories about just the treatment that the police in this country have done to me as an individual. Not to mention, when I caught my first gun charge, I was ripped. It was a legal gun. It was registered, and I was ripped out of the car just for simply having my gun case in my back seat. I was ripped out of my car. My Fourth Amendment rights were taken away from me because they opened up my car while I was still in it. I never gave them permission. I was ripped out of the car by 6 police officers. 6. On my way home, handcuffed on the side of the street. They were looking for something that wasn't there. And I was asked questions whether I was in a gang or not, just because of my tattoos. I have experiences like that continuously throughout my life. In Richmond and outside of Richmond. Me and my brother going through Chesterfield County when to drop him off. A drug task force canine unit member was driving in the street with us, and he said, these are his words, "Oh, my dog alerted for weed inside of y'all car." Mind you, we're all in traffic, we're all driving. How in the heck, with your windows up, our windows up, did your canine smell weed inside of our car? Neither one of us was smoking. You couldn't even smell weed in the car when you walked up on it. You know what he found? Absolutely nothing. Me and my brother were furious. He almost lost his job because we were late dropping him off from work. The police officer was getting irate with us. Again, they searched the car, found nothing, and we told him it was nothing in the car. He wasted our time. It took an officer who actually knew my family to quell the situation because this police officer was getting irate, and the other one who actually came to, which was a regular police officer, or a regular police sergeant, knew our family name and was like, y'all free to go. People have these situations happen to them on individual levels, so they are completely able to connect with situations of police brutality and police murders on civilians. And for the mayor of Richmond to turn around and add more of a police presence on people who are protesting that same exact issue was a huge mistake on his part. I can't believe it, y'all. I just can't believe it.
Which one is yours? New one.
O
Not
God
one
of our
policy.
weary years, God.
It is mayhem.
And I watched this multiple times, and I would love for you guys to watch it. But I want you to hear the lip service that Mayor Stoney gave to y'all today. Not one policy. Not one policy. Not one policy. Not one measure. And then they had I keep forgetting what his name is. They had the other guy come up. I keep forgetting what his name is because my mind is gone right now. He got up there and touted some talking points to get some brownie points from the black people. And it was like, he was like, yeah, we got a bill coming in. He never mentioned the bill by name. He just mentioned some vague bill. And then they kept on mentioning some vague policies. And it's like, bro, when are y'all going to understand that people don't care about this lip service no more? I don't want y'all slave singing and singing hymns trying to quell the anger of people who have been attacked by police in their individual and personal lives. And now that they see this continuously happening bro, this has to change. They want us to go. One of the things that they said was go vote. I agree. Let's go vote. But who are we going to vote for? If every single time we get some politician come in They always want to give us lip service and no change. Mayor Stoney didn't care about the people who were cold, who were stuck in the cold because their heaters didn't work, because the housing authority didn't do anything about fixing the issue prior to our winter. He didn't care about that. He didn't want to fund, they didn't fund the schools when the air conditioners went out. He knew about this. They were so emboldened about these doggone buses, about this bus system. And it did absolutely nothing for city revenue. They talked about Navy Hill and fixing the Coliseum as their highest priority. But they didn't talk about our children's education. They didn't talk about fixing our schools. Yes, they are rebuilding schools, but that was already on the docket, period. We had already got that funding from the federal government, if anybody didn't know. That money was already given by the federal government. Every one of those bans during the Obama administration for the arts programs, almost all of those art programs were given money by the federal government. The state was given money also during the Obama administration for fixing the schools. Go look it up. I implore you to go look it up. And I know this because I was a volunteer in Richmond Public Schools. A lot of my students still see me and they still notice me and they still come to speak to me. I work with the kids in the Richmond Public Schools. Mayor Stoney wanted to kick those people before it became a very public thing. They were kicking the homeless out of the city and left them off in a little area. Did they care about that? No, they didn't. This is the reoccurring thing. They care more about their stadiums and their attractions than they actually care about the people who actually live here. Not to mention that Richmond is gentrifying as it still stands. The property values are going up. They're skyrocketing. They want to kick people out of the projects and remodel them and make them mixed income. And we know when they talk about mixed income, they ain't talking about us. They not talking about us. They not even talking to us. They gave us sugar cubes today. They thought they were going to lead this horse with sugar cubes today. It's impossible to talk to people who you constantly ignore and look down on. Mayor Stoney has not really been a mayor to the people of Richmond. I've met this man many times at many festivals that I have filmed. And it just seems there's an air of arrogance there, where I can't be bothered with the muggles. I can't be bothered with the poors. We have more pressing issues. What more of a pressing issue is it, especially in this situation, especially in the current time that we're in? How much of a pressing issue is it that you can't even take the time out of your busy schedule, again, out of your busy schedule to actually stand with the people who are protesting? Again, the verdict is already there. The evidences are already there. When the government stands with the people, we do not have these issues of looting, of people of bad actors actually being able to tear up the city. All it took was for him to say, I care, to the actual people who are protesting. That's all it took. That's all it could have took. I'm gonna let y'all see something real quick. I'm gonna go to my Facebook page and I'm gonna bring up this video that I watched last night. And this video was so important to the actual narrative of what I'm talking about now. It was so important to what the narrative was to what we're talking about right now. I'm about to pull it up. Give me 1 second. Cause I'm still not understanding why it is that today in 2020, after everything we've been going through, and I don't want to say since Trayvon Martin, but I'm going to say since Trayvon Martin. Ever since Trayvon Martin, all of the Ferguson riots, and Mike Brown, and just all of the riots that we've had in past history, past recent history, that we still have a government and people within government who look just like us, who still don't understand what the issues are. This video right here. This is what happened last night.
That's all we want. Thank you. They don't even like a real person. I don't even look like a real person.
I want y'all to watch this.
Hey, that's right. Hands up. Hands up. Hands up. Hands up. Hands up. Hands up. Yes. Hands up. Yes. Hands up. Yes. Hands up. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
This happened last
Thank
night.
you. Thank you. Give me a hug. No fucking thank you. That's all we want, baby. That's all we want. Thank you. That's all we want. Thank you. This how you end this shit. This how you end this shit, dog. That's all we want, baby. We want to act like y'all can. We want to see y'all give a fuck. That's what we want. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's all we want to see. That's all you did. Hey! 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 No! 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 Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all, man. Thank you, brother. That's all we want, man. That's all we want, brother. That's all we want. We just want to see y'all give a fuck about us. That's all we want. Thank y'all, man. Where he at? You did this, brother. Thank you, man. Thank you. All right? Thank you. See this? Look at that. Look at that. He did this. Thank you. Look at this. Look at these names. You remember these names. Thank you. Look at these names. Look at them. Thank you. Look at them. Look at them. Look at them. Thank you. Look at them. Thank you. That's all we want. Thank you. That's what we want, man. That's what we want. Bro. Bro, look. Look. This all we want. This it.
I'm coming back to. There's still some people who don't want peace. They don't want peace. They don't want peace. That's going to always be there. It's always going to be there. It's nothing you can do about that. But a lot of these people, they just want to see the government, the people who they are protesting against, all of those quote unquote good cops that everybody talked about, stand with them. Do you understand how this could have all been avoided if the mayor and the police chief, instead of marching against the people or coming out as a militarized force, they could have turned this into a parade just by allowing the police force to track and march with the people? Had the police force here in Richmond, let's think about this, had the entire police force in Richmond that was out there last night had marched with the people and not tear gassed them and not came out there in riot gear and not came out, had they done that the first night, I guarantee you less people would have come out the second night. And had they come out the second night, less people would have came out that night, the next night. This could have all been avoided if the presence of the government stood with the people. Yet and still, we have Mayor Stoney and the Richmond elites who want to stand in their ivory towers, no, in their emerald towers, like the Wizard of Oz, with their big heads, not understanding they're still men just like us. Look, I'm tired, bro. I'm tired. I'm tired. This will end when the government stands with the people and not their power. Authoritarianism is the reason, the root cause of all of this. When you have somebody in authority who thinks that they're bigger than the people they are supposed to serve. That is the root cause of all of this. Excuse me. That is the root cause of all of this. I love you guys, man. And I just wish that the people and the powers that be loved you back. Because y'all go to bat for those who you stand for, but they don't go to bat for y'all. How dysfunctional and how abusive is that? Tag your mayor. Tag your mayor. Please tag your mayor in this. Because the voice of reason is not surrounding him. The voice of reason has eluded him. He has lost his way, especially in this time of coronavirus, in the lockdowns. And one last thing that popped in my head. Ralph Northam, or whatever his name, Governor Northam, is not for us. We know by his track record he don't even like us. He was very quick to call the National Guards on us. Governor Karen Northam. Governor Blackface Klan Robe was so quick to allow Mayor Stoney to have the National Guard here in Richmond. Shows you a lot. I love y'all. Love yourselves. Love God with all your heart. Love your neighbor as yourself. Peace and blessings.